Welcome to Curating the Bowl for a Healthier Cat. I'm Dr. Chris Bessent. I've been a holistic veterinarian for over 30 years and have treated tens of thousands of veterinary patients. And I'm so excited to share with you today some of our thoughts on curating the bowl for a healthier cat and things that we can do to help our cats live their best life. What we do as far as food goes has huge benefits or implications on your cat's life and their overall health. And whether it's feeding a do-it-yourself raw diet or a freeze-dried raw diet or a kibble diet, there's so many things that we can do to make sure that their quality of life is as good as possible. And most importantly, that food is just the beginning. So food is the foundation of health that all these wonderful cats kind of rely upon for a long, vibrant, healthy life to be your best cat. So to start with, you have to understand what the nutritional foundation of complete and balanced standard offers and then build on that. So complete and balanced is kind of the basic, the bottom line, the very minimum that is allowed for cat food. And don't get me wrong, that's absolutely the bare minimum, meaning that all pet food, dog or cat, needs to abide by the complete and balanced standard for either growth and reproduction or for adult maintenance. But what I'm saying is that there's more that we can do. So, of course, complete and balanced is a combination of macronutrients and micronutrients. And macronutrients is protein, fat, fiber, and moisture. And absolutely, we have to have a bare minimum of those. We also need to have a bare minimum of vitamins and minerals in our foods, and you're going to see that lower on the ingredient deck. So that's the minerals like zinc and copper and iodine, and the vitamins like B vitamin, vitamin E. All of those things need to be at a very basic minimum in our cat's diets. So complete and balanced reflects that it's the bare minimum of protein, fat, fiber, and moisture, as well as the bare minimum of the micronutrients, which is vitamins and minerals. So we all agree that that absolutely is what needs to happen, but there also needs to be so much more. This is an ingredient deck of a colored dental chew, that because they added vitamins and minerals to wheat flour and wheat gluten, it literally abides by the AAFCO basic minimum of complete and balanced. And that just really shows you how low this bar is. So what else do we need to add to our pet's diet? So, of course, if that bag of artificially colored nuggets provided it all, like complete and balanced makes it appear, we wouldn't need to add anything else to it. But what it doesn't have is it doesn't have phytonutrients. So it doesn't have healthy bacteria. And we're going to talk a lot more about that. It doesn't have antioxidants that we need. So those colors to the colored kibble are literally just food dyes. And different types of nutraceuticals like omega-3 fatty acids. What we see in humans as well as in our kitty population is that we as a population live in abundance and that we are overfed and undernourished. So those great big fat kitties that, might seem humorous, to me are so sick, and that this marginal nutrition, so this low standard of complete and balance, really affects kitties' health dramatically because they're true obligate carnivores. And just as we've domesticated cats and dogs, and they tend to live our lifestyle and our food choices, chronic disease that we see in pets happens exactly the same in humans. So in humans and pets, we see obesity as a huge issue. We see arthritis, absolutely. And I'm going to describe more the things that we can do, the nutrients that we can add to our cat's diet that will prevent arthritis. Chronic GI issues because of high carbohydrate diets, heart disease because we're not getting as much taurine as we should get, diabetes, again, high carbohydrates, cancers, we're not adding antioxidants to their diets like we should. And then in humans, it's stroke, and kitties, kidney disease. And kidney disease just runs rampant in cats, as well as liver disease and COPD. So what we see in animals, as well as what we see in humans, is poor nutrition and poor lifestyle leads to poorer quality of life and a shorter lifespan. So what can we do about that? And what's missing from that complete and balanced framework that we've been led to believe that includes everything our animal absolutely needs? Number one is joint protection. And joint protections are glucosamine, chondroitin, hyaluronic acid, all of the things that our dogs and cats need to maintain healthy joints. So glucosamine and chondroitin, they come from the cartilage that covers the bone endings of long bones. Hyaluronic acid, which is the chemical that's in the joint fluid, so the really thick, viscous joint fluids of kitties' joints, and then collagen that comes from the tendons and ligaments within the joints. So ideally, in the real world, that kitty is going to eat mice, and they're going to eat birds, and they're going to consume all of it. So they're going to consume the bones as well as the bone endings. So when you look at where the bone endings are, so these two arrows, that beautiful porcelain surface is the cartilage on the bone endings. And when kitties eat that, they're providing the nutrients that their joints need to be healthy and vibrant. And whether you're using a raw diet or a kibble diet, if you're adding glucosamine back into their diet, you're protecting their joints. And does that matter whether they're kitties to seniors? Well, we used to think in veterinary medicine that we start adding glucosamine when they develop arthritis, and that is absolutely not true. We really need to start adding glucosamine to their diets from the time those kittens are not nursing anymore and they're eating real food. Once they start eating real food, if they were eating that rabbit, or if they were eating that bird or that mouse, they would be consuming the glucosamine from the joint endings. And so from the time they're kittens on, they need to be getting some source of glucosamine, some sort of joint protection. And certainly they need it throughout their entire lives, because as kitties age, they are more likely to develop arthritis as well. So what else is missing from this complete and balanced framework? And it's healthy live bacteria. And this comes from the fact that the FDA, and rightly so, has a zero tolerance for any pathogenic bacteria. And pathogenic are bad bacteria like Salmonella, E. coli, or Listeria. And don't get me wrong, that's, in my opinion, as a veterinarian, that's 100% true. We should not have pathogenic bacteria in our pet food, not necessarily because it makes the pet sick, but it could make the human sick that handle it. So the FDA has a zero tolerance for pathogenic bacteria. So all pet food needs to go through a kill step. And a kill step could be a number of things. It could be heating it to a really high temperature So greater than 165 degrees Fahrenheit. It could be adding pressure. So high pressure pasteurization is taking pet food and then squishing it under a tremendous amount of pressure. And that pressure is going to damage the cells of the bacteria, so make that pet food sterile. The other and the worst case scenario as a kill step is irradiation, that they're subjecting that food to irradiation, and the irradiation is killing any bacteria. Bacteria as ideally would add healthy, vibrant bacteria back into their diets. And that like Saccharomyces or Bacillus or Lactobacillus. But then almost any good probiotic is also going to have prebiotics. And prebiotics are long chain sugars that are able to make it all the way down to the lower part of the GI tract, the colon, and feed the healthy bacteria. So if you're doing a DIY raw, you're getting healthy bacteria in that. So on those fish that you see in the far left, they absolutely have healthy bacteria on. Whether you're doing a freeze-dried raw, whether it's heat or pasteurization, if it's irradiation, it's going to have to put it on the label so you'll see that little irradiation sign. But either way, you're getting the healthy food with lives. Absolutely. So kittens would inoculate their gut with healthy bacteria by nursing on their mom. So the mom cat would have healthy bacteria surrounding their udder and their nipple. And so when the kitten is nursing, they're taking in healthy bacteria at the same time. And you absolutely need that throughout their entire lifespan, especially in senior kitties. If they're eating a higher carbohydrate diet, they're more likely to have bad bacteria tend to replicate. And so anytime they have really a terrible smell, they have bad gas, they have GI upset, oftentimes it's because the micro environment of the gut has been modified. So there's more bad bacteria than good bacteria. So absolutely all kitties' bowls should be adding some healthy bacteria. But what else is missing? The next thing that's missing is antioxidants. And antioxidants are incredibly important for health. And they are also very heat liable, meaning that they get damaged by high heat. So in kibble, they might have blueberry listed on the ingredient deck, very low, meaning less than salt. So not a lot of blueberry, but enough that it looks good. But most of the antioxidants from the blueberry are being damaged during the heat process. Is the development of free radicals. So in this video, it would be like the red ball bouncing around. And that free radical is really corrosive and damages healthy cells. So you'll see that blue cell slowly but surely gets damaged. And then eventually it damages the entire cell. So antioxidants are like the green balls that you see in this video. And the green balls will neutralize the bad free radicals. And so that protects the healthy cells. So where would you get these great antioxidants that we need every day? And you can get it from omega-3 fatty acids, or you can get it from brightly colored fruits and vegetables. If we're not providing antioxidants in their diet, and we're providing them with an amount of free radicals are developed. And we'll see this in kitties by kitty food that has a lot of carbohydrates in them. So cats are carnivores, of course, and as a carnivore, they should be eating more skeletal meat and organs and smaller amounts of carbohydrates, particularly grains or potatoes, that are very, very difficult for a kitty to properly process that glucose. So high carbohydrate diets tend to be pro-inflammatory, and they tend to produce a lot of oxidative stress and a lot of free radicals. So what's the best option? For diets that are low in antioxidants, if we add or add brightly colored fruits, or we add omega-3 fatty acid from marine life, that is a great way to add a dietary source of antioxidants. It becomes even more important as we age, because as we age, our natural endogenous production of antioxidants within our body starts to go down. So what is the result of oxidative stress? Oxidative stress, or that free radical bouncing around damaging cells, can cause such a crazy amount of damage to the body. So it can cause cancers because you're basically damaging DNA, you're damaging cells. It causes more inflammation. It causes premature aging. The brain is a really high fat organ and is very susceptible to the damage from free radicals. So we see dementia and cognitive disorders, respiratory disorders and diabetes and autoimmune diseases when lots of cells are getting damaged, all the way to inflammatory bowel disease and more. So there's kind of two sources of antioxidants, and one is what a kitty produces within their own body. So vitamin C, for example, is considered essential for humans because we don't produce it ourselves. But the liver of pets, cats and dogs, do produce it. So vitamin C is produced within the body. So if a kitty is sick, they tend to produce more to combat the free radicals. Vitamin D from exposure to light, which of course makes sense. And then vitamin A, that is produced from the consumption of beta carotene or orange colored fruits and vegetables. The other source of antioxidants come from what we eat. So it's from brightly colored fruits and vegetables and from polyunsaturated fatty acids like krill and fish. Superfoods become even more important in cats because they are carnivores. And so the amount of fruits and vegetables, brightly colored fruits and vegetables, that a kitty should eat is such a small proportion of their diet that it's even more important that we get the most bang for our buck, the best amount of antioxidants for the plant material that a cat would consume. So in the real world, what would happen? That cat would eat the bird that was eating berries. That cat would eat the mouse that is eating grasses or berries, or that would be their source of dietary antioxidants. So if you're doing a raw, you can see that you might be adding small amounts of brightly colored fruits or vegetables. If you're adding it to a kibble or to a freeze-dried, a lot of the freeze-dried has some really great antioxidants to increase the amount of dietary antioxidants to their diet because their endogenous production starts to go down as they age. And what we see is more of the graying of the muzzle and graying of the eyes and graying of their hair coat. And that's all signs of oxidative stress. What else is missing from a complete and balanced food for kitties? It's omega fatty acids. So omega fatty acids are omega-3 and omega-6s, and I'm sure you guys have all heard of this before. And I love this chart because it really explains fats can be saturated or unsaturated. And then they can be, if you go down that chain of unsaturated, then it can be monounsaturated and polyunsaturated. So omega-3s and omega-6s are considered polyunsaturated, and omega-3s tend to come from fish, but they can also come from flax and hemp and those sort of things. The downfall is kitties have a really difficult time converting plant-based omega-3s into the active forms, DHA and EPA. And then omega-6s are fatty acids that tend to come from plant sources. So I tend to think of omega-6s like corn oil and safflower oil and oils that are fine for energy, but not so great as a source of omega-3s. So omega-3s are going to be coming from fish or grass-fed meats, and omega-6s are going to come from plant sources. The ratio of omega-3s to omega-6 is what's really important. So when you think of omega-3 fatty acids, they tend to be anti-inflammatory. Omega-6 fatty acids tend to be more pro-inflammatory. So omega-6 fatty acids tend to think of it as, in a human, it would be fried food. Donuts. It's going to provide energy and provide calories, but it doesn't provide good, healthy omega-3 fatty acids that we need. And then for kitties, they absolutely need to get omega-3 fatty acids from a marine source or an animal source. So they get it from krill or from fish or from grass-fed meat. Kibble-fed kitties tend to have really bad ratios of omega-3 to omega-6s. So when you hear of a 1 to 20 ratio, it's 1% omega-3s or 1 part omega-3s to 20 parts of omega-6s. And most of the time in kibble, it's going to be that really high ratio. It's going to be a lot of the high energy omega-6 fatty acids, but not a lot of the anti-inflammatory omega-3 fatty acids. And one reason is because omega-6 fatty acids are very shelf stable. So they last a long time in that bag, and they're very inexpensive. Where omega-3 fatty acids are very expensive, but they also have a tendency to oxidize faster. And so they need to be handled much more gently and will oxidize in that big bag of dog food that's sitting in a warehouse or cat food that's sitting in a warehouse for quite some time before it makes it to your home. So what are optimal diets? The ratio for optimal diets would be either 1 part omega-3 to 5 parts omega-6, or even better than that would be a 1-to-1 ratio. So there are wonderful foods out there where they add additional omega-3s to their diet. So in ground krill form, for example, that have a 1-to-1 ratio, and that's the ultimate best ratios to have for omega-3 to omega-6 fatty acids. You can do that by adding some omega-3 sources to your raw food. So adding salmon or anchovies or sardines. You could top off some of your raw food with that, or go with the salmon freeze-dried, or you could add some of that to your kibble diet. But you could also add it as krill meal or krill oil or fish oil. And I would tend to stay with fish that are lower on the food chain. So the smaller fish, they tend to be cleaner. And it's important. Omega-3 fatty acids are super important from the time they're kittens to seniors, because for kittens, it's about the development of their brain, and that the brain needs a lot of DHA. One form of the active omega-3 fatty acids are necessary for proper development of a kitten's brain. And then the EPA, The other form of essential fatty acids is really important for the health of joints and for the anti-inflammatory that is necessary for older kittens or older cats that might have some arthritis. Diet. So it's super important that kitties have a lot of moisture. Kitties just in general would, in the real world, they would eat mice and birds, and those mice and birds are about 60 to 70% water. So they get all of their water from the food that they eat. So if we're going to domesticate them and feed them shelf-stable food, we really want to add moisture to it. So if it's a freeze-dried food, you want to add warm broth or warm water to it and let it rehydrate. If you're going to add canned food, that's a great way to add moisture to the diet. But it's super important for kitties that you have lots and lots of moisture. The other part of species appropriate is cats are carnivores. So they need diets that are rich in animal products, rich in meats. And you can get protein from plant sources, and you can get protein from animal sources. Cats need protein. They don't thrive well on plant-based proteins. Cats just genetically cannot digest carbohydrates the way that an omnivore will, or even a scavenger carnivore like a dog does. So cats, it's super important that they have low carbohydrate diets. So it should be less than 15%. Unfortunately, most kibble is about 40% carbohydrate. So that just by the inherent nature of getting a kibble to stick together makes it too high in carbohydrates for a healthy cat to thrive. It needs to be high in and rich in omega-3 fatty acids, which we've discussed. And then it's how you choose to do it. So it may be that you're going to do it yourself raw. You may be doing a freeze dried. But what I would say is for picky kitties, you really have to take it slow. So cats don't like change. And so once they're big fat carbohydrate junkies, it's hard to convert them to a healthy diet again. But number one, you cannot starve them out. So if you are trying to convert your kitty from a kibble diet to a healthier diet, it's got to be a really slow process. So I would say that the transition from kibble to healthy food could take months, and it might start with just freeze-dried meat as a topper, and it might start by adding some salmon to their kibble. But slowly but surely, you can convert them to a healthier food. And we're going to do another upcoming live on what all the best cat foods have in common, or chondroitin or hyaluronic acid. So some sort of supplement that is going to give them the protection that they need for their joints. You want to add healthy bacteria back into their diet again. So probiotics and then prebiotics to feed those healthy bacteria. You want to add some superfoods, so krill or algae or brightly colored fruits or vegetables. And then make sure that their omega-3 to omega-6 fatty acid ratio is good. So a 1-to-1 or 1-to-5 is a nice ratio to have. So raise up the more expensive omega-3 fatty acids and decrease the less expensive omega-6 fatty acids. So know that food is just the beginning, but you can have these amazingly wonderful kitties that live long, vibrant lives by not only providing this great foundation of food, but then adding the right supplements as well. At Herbsmith, we have this wonderful quiz that you can take, and it's called Curating the Bowl. And basically, you take this quiz and you answer questions and then submit it. And I will literally look at all of the answers and what's going on with your kitty, and then make recommendations. And it might be about food, it might be about different supplements that you should add, but I will kind of give you my advice of 30 years of being a veterinarian. Please follow me on Facebook or Instagram, where kind of my long-term goal as a veterinarian is to be a more positive influence on more pets in my life than just by seeing patients all day, every day. And one way to do that is to provide you and arm you with education that you guys, proactive tips that you guys can use every day to help your cats live a much healthier and more vibrant life and allow them to be their best cat. So thank you so much for taking the time to spend some quality time kind of listening to other things that you can do with your kitty to have them live their best life.